I am Shruti and I am an MBA admission consultant with GoalISB. There's a huge turnout of questions with respect to pursuing an MBA in India versus an MBA in Europe today. So that's why I brought this up today for the discussion. And we have some aspects that we would like to discuss with you with respect to the pros, cons, and the career insights for pursuing an MBA in India versus pursuing an MBA in Europe. Now, both of these opportunities are really great in their own way, but which one clicks for you and which one is really the one that you are made for is something that is totally dependent on a lot of questions that you have to answer during the process. So we have some research that we have brought for you, and we welcome your questions. Please do keep on sharing your questions over here in the comments. I'll be happy to take them up. So the key considerations when you are pursuing or planning to pursue an MBA are, questions like salary growth, questions like career growth, questions like what are your aspirations? Do you really aspire for an Indian background, or you're planning to grow your career within Asia, or are you looking at a more global exposure? Do you want to work locally? Do you want to explore international roles? Or how much are you really willing to invest in your MBA? What ROI are you expecting? There are very interesting numbers that we have around ROIs as well. So we'll be sharing those with you during this particular presentation. And do you value a globally diverse network, or is it more of a, let's say, a domestic or an Asian network that you're looking for? What is the local, what is the value of the local expertise for you? Is that more critical for your career goals? Are you prepared for cultural adjustments? Are you prepared for, working around those language barriers and lifestyle changes that you will probably have to face in Europe? Or will family relocation or dependent visas will be a factor in your decision? So these are some very important questions around deciding whether you want to pursue an MBA in India or you would like to pursue an MBA in Europe. Plus, there are more important questions, around the industries and the regions where you want to work post MBA. What exactly has been your pre MBA work experience like will really define what you can achieve, realistically speaking, post MBA as well. So, have a very clear roadmap for yourself when you are pursuing an MBA. An MBA is not like an undergraduate degree where you just walk in and you have 3 or 4 years to explore and see. Most of the MBA programs in India, which we are talking about, are the 1 year MBA programs. And in Europe as well, they are very short in duration, 1 year to 16 months to 18 months. Now, this is a very short duration for you to really go and explore your way forward. You need to be very clear of what you're looking for from the MBA program. Answer these questions, which are very important for you in this particular journey of selection of the location where you want to pursue your MBA, and then take it forward from there onwards. So let's begin our presentation. When you are looking at pursuing an MBA, what are the things that are important for you? So either it is career acceleration, or you want to transition, or maybe you're just looking at a senior leadership role within your company. Now, how important is location in that particular perspective? These are some questions which are very important for you when you are planning to decide on an MBA, a location where you want to pursue your MBA, as well as also square down on the schools that you want to apply to, because career acceleration, industry transition, leadership development, all of these work very differently when you are pursuing an MBA in India versus when you are pursuing an MBA in Europe. Let's say you are an international applicant and you are pursuing an MBA in an international location. At that point in time, getting that industry transition or getting that career acceleration will be very much dependent on what you are coming with, the preparation that you have prior to coming for the MBA program. So all of this needs to be very clearly mapped out for you to be able to decide, okay, if the international location is the one for you, or is it the Indian location. Now, coming to the class profiles, if you look at the average GMAT scores, GMAT is something that everybody has been working on. I'm sure all of you uh, have been looking at, what is the exact GMAT score that I should have once I am ready for applying to the MBA programs. And at that point in time, it becomes important for you to understand that whether you are applying to an MBA program in India or you are applying to a top MBA program in Europe, the average GMAT scores are almost similar. There's a very less, little difference between each of these programs in terms of the average GMAT score. But there is a huge difference in terms of the class size, in terms of the percentage of the international cohort or the international exposure that you will get, and also in terms of maybe the work experience to some extent. Having 5 years or 4 years of work experience or 8 years of work experience, your choice of schools will be different. And if you're a female applicant, then it is also very important for you to see, what is the acceptability as well as the kind of cohort that you are going in for. So this is why we have brought in the class profile comparison. If you look at the Oxford MBA class, the class size is around 300 or 350, and then the international cohort is around 97%, 95%. So most of the European MBA programs will have anywhere from 85% to 95% of the class which will be purely international. Whereas if you're looking at a class in India for the Indian MBA programs, then in that case, uh, the class size, yes, it varies from 80 to 150 to 800 at ISB, but the international cohort will be very limited, and options will be limited at that point. And from that perspective, basically, if you look at the average work experience, then the 1 year MBA programs in India have a very different range of average work experience. ISB has around 4 to 4.5 years, and at the IIMs, it will be around 7 to 8.5 years of average work experience in the class. However, the average GMAT is the same. So if you have an X GMAT score, you can actually plan for a European MBA or for an Indian MBA at the same time. But what will vary, or what will really impact your decision, would be the kind of class that you want to be a part of. So the GMAT scores accepted at the European MBA programs or the Indian MBA programs are, the median scores are roughly in the range of 680 to 710 or 720 for that matter. And the admissions criteria really varies in some ways. In India, the admissions criteria will look at the leadership roles or the quality of work experience that you bring into the cohort, while in Europe it will be largely towards the international experience that you are bringing in, or let's say, how ready are you for that career mobility, how ready are you for getting into the international workforce. This is something that will impact your decision. So when you're looking at the pros and cons of applying to an MBA program in India versus an MBA program in Europe, cost is a very important criteria. Now, considering the cost of the programs for, let's say, the Indian 1 year MBA programs, it's around 30 to 45 lakhs for an Indian MBA. This is the 1 year MBA that you're talking about. While for the European MBAs, if you just compare it in terms of the rupees equivalent, then it will be anywhere from 70 lakhs to 1.1 CR. So the initial investment, if you see, per se, changes when you are looking at an Indian MBA or a European MBA. So this is the first difference. You can call it a pro, you can call it a con, just because of the difference of the initial cost investment that you have to bring in. This will be an important criteria for you to decide. Now, coming to the living cost. Of course, in India, we know that a year's living cost could be anywhere from 8 to 15 lakhs, depending on your lifestyle, depending on the city that you're living in. However, in the international locations, depending on the location that you are targeting, it can be anywhere from 25 lakhs to 50 lakhs. Now, the initial investment or the cost of pursuing that particular program in Europe is high, no doubt. Now, the question for you is, or the con for you is that are you ready for that particular investment at the onset of your career in terms of a European MBA? If yes, then the ROI is also good. The ROI, if we compare the ROI of the Indian MBA programs versus the European MBA programs, there are many ways to work around it. And we have some numbers that we have also worked out for you in terms of, pursuing an Indian MBA. The ROI is high, of course, because of the fact that the initial investment is low. And for the European MBA programs, the initial investment is high. And based on our assumptions, we see that the ROI is slightly lesser. However, the main factor is, the main decision-making factor over here for you as an individual is whether you want to, pursue a program which gives you an international exposure or not. Now, given that, then these are formulas that you can work on, and based on your assumptions, you can work on a certain ROI for your particular case very specifically. Now, let's say for the Indian students at large, what is the ROI of the European MBAs? One, first of all, is the financial metrics. The cost of the European MBA programs can go anywhere from 70,000 euros to 100,000 euros in tuition fee and an additional living cost, as we have discussed earlier. But the pro over here for you is the post MBA salaries. The post MBA salaries that you get are definitely much higher. The start that you will get will be much better than what you will get in the Indian scenario. Now, coming to the scholarship opportunities, let's say you get a scholarship for a European MBA program. At that particular point in time, your initial investment becomes low, so your ROI again becomes higher for the European MBA program. Having said that, it is very specific to every program, and the cost of the program also varies largely across the whole spectrum of the European MBAs. So, what are the financial implications for that, and what are you ready to afford in that particular case, is something that will be very important for you to decide whether you want to go in for a European MBA today or not. And guys, if you have any questions very specifically with respect to whether you fit into that particular cohort or whether you should pursue an Indian MBA, feel free to reach out to us. We will be connecting with you for profile evaluations. Share your resumes with us, your GMAT or your GRE scores along with your grades, and we'll be happy to take forward this discussion as to what specifically would probably be better for you, or maybe a mix of programs from the European as well as the Indian spectrum of the MBA programs. Let's look at the career opportunities now. In terms of the career opportunities, a European MBA definitely gives you a global mobility. If you look at the specific MBA programs, let's say for INSEAD, graduates they work in 57 countries across the world, and there are around 50% of the graduates from the INSEAD MBA program which switch countries post MBA. So this definitely gives you a global mobility if you are planning to if you are planning to pursue an MBA in Europe. The global mobility from the Indian MBA programs will be limited. The options that you can pursue directly post MBA in terms of the global career will definitely be limited. You can have a workaround, you can work your way towards a global career from that point of view. Having said that, it does take time, and it's not an immediate return that you might have to you that you can actually plan for from an Indian MBA program. So this way, if global mobility is something that is at the top of your list, then a European MBA program will definitely be more suitable for you. Now let's look at the industry placements. Let's say you are someone from the consulting industry or the finance or the tech industry. At that point in time, a European MBA program will definitely facilitate the shift for you. At the same time, the Indian MBA programs will also facilitate the same shift for you. If you have prior background, a 1 year MBA program is the most suited format of the MBA that will really, bring you up to speed in terms of achieving your career goals, getting a heads up in terms of your career growth in any of these sectors, be it consulting, be it finance, or be it tech, maybe tech consulting as well. So shift in roles, transitioning your career is definitely possible through both of these. In the global scenario, of course, from the global MBA programs. In comparison, let's compare the salaries now. If you're looking at the salaries that you will probably get post an MBA, with respect to the Indian MBA programs, it will be anywhere from 30 to 50 lakhs. However, if you're looking at the European MBA programs, for the Indian applicants, it is a huge shift. You can expect anywhere from 80 lakhs plus onwards, depending on the program and the location that you are getting that particular choice from. Having said that, this is one set of the scenario, this is one set of the criteria that you will be looking at when you are pursuing a when you're planning to pursue an MBA program. So, if you're looking at the career opportunities, global mobility, industry placement, and salaries, if these are things that you're looking for, then global mobility is definitely facilitated through your European MBA programs. Industry placement, you can get almost an equal outcome from both of these, depending on the location that you're looking at and the individual specific program that you are getting selected at. In terms of salaries, there is definitely a huge shift just because of the multiplication factor of a global location, no doubt about it. In addition to the discussion that we have had, before, there are some non-financial ROIs that you can actually expect from the European MBAs, especially for the Indian students. If you are an Indian applicant and you are going in for a European MBA program, at that point in time, you are actually, gaining the skills which are more global in nature. You are getting prepared for a more global leadership role. Europe is the gateway to a lot of growth and development in the economy today, no doubt about it. Having having a European MBA will definitely give you an edge to, be mobile towards, let's say, the UAE or of course, the UK sector for sure. So these are some things that are important from the European MBA point of view for the non-financial ROI. I cannot put a number to it, but yes, if it is an individual consideration, it is definitely important. Then, if you are looking at a diverse cohort, no doubt the European MBA programs are much more diverse, much more exposure to international students and an international network than the Indian MBA programs. And on the other hand, you have a very specific, benefit from the India specific point of view. Let's say there is a strong alumni base of European schools in India, let's say LPS, NCR, HEC within India, which will always be a plus for you. Plus the personal growth. If you're working in a global location, it is definitely a personal, let's say, add on that you have. It will be very different. The experience will be very different from what you are experiencing, let's say, in an Indian MBA program. So, these are some things which are important to keep in mind when you are choosing your MBA programs and you are applying to one. It is always recommended that you should apply to a mix of programs and then, keep all these criteria in mind to finalize which one do you want to go to. Another criteria which is important in terms of career insights for pursuing an MBA in India or Europe will be the long term ROI. The earnings growth, we know that the exchange rate is very different. So the earnings growth definitely will be much more powerful if you're working internationally. If you are planning to, take up an entrepreneurial stride, at that point in time, the European MBA program will give you a much global outlook and a much global outreach with respect to your initiatives than the Indian MBA itself. Plus, you will have the geographic benefits. If you're pursuing an MBA in Europe, then you have access to the global hubs like London, Paris, Amsterdam, which will offer you a higher quality of life and a greater earning potential in the long term. So the long term ROI, again, I cannot put a very specific number to it right now. A lot of times, we get the question of what is the ROI of this MBA programs, and the immediate salaries are things that you are thinking of. But at the same time, I do insist again and again that think of things like, where do you want to settle down in the long term? Is it these are the classic GMAT scores? Hi, Chirag. Hi, Adarsh. And what would be the average difference in someone graduated from a European school working in India versus an Indian school working in India? Average of what, Adarsh? In case you could clarify, I could take up that question very specifically. So, the geographic benefits, the entrepreneurial outreach that you have, and the earning growth that you have from a global MBA program or a European MBA program will definitely count towards the long term ROI. I cannot put a definite number to it, But if it is something that is very specifically important to me as an individual, then these are questions that you need to answer before you decide on the location specifically for your pursuits of the MBA. In salary, so in salary, others, you already know, how the Indian market works. So if you are graduating from a European school and working in India, I do not see the math working out over here. In fact, we had tried to work out some numbers in terms of what is the return, or what is the, let me see if I have it here. Yeah, the break even point. So I'm just advancing to this particular slide. So this is what exactly you are asking for. What would be the difference between someone graduated from a European school working in India? If you are graduating from a European school and let's say you are immediately coming back to work in India, you are coming back with a loan amount of maybe anywhere from 70 lakhs to 1 CR or more. If that is the case, then the salaries in India will remain the same. The salaries will probably not change. For the same role, the company will not change the salary. There'll be not a huge difference on that. So if you are planning to pursue any MBA program in Europe, then stick to that particular place for that those many years, maybe 4, 5, or 6 years, so that you get that break even from the MBA program, and then probably come back over here. Kunal, can you please provide us the list of Indian B schools which accept the GMAT Focus Edition? That will be helpful. Kunal, you can reach out to us. We have a very specific list and I'll be happy to share that with you. Please get in touch with us on our email address as well as maybe on the website itself. It will be accessible. I will share it with you. And you are an older applicant, Amit, with an age of 34 and around 11 years of experience in general management in your own venture for 3 years and good ACAD 690 GMAT. Whether you want to, which prospective B schools should I look for? European business schools. So, Amit, if you want to apply to the European business schools, my suggestion first of all is that get your resume ready and go back to the list of B schools that you want to apply for. And at that point in time, you also need to share your resume with them, write to them, see and ask very specifically that, okay, am I a fit with the cohort that you're looking at or not? If you look at the European schools, the average years of experience is around 6 or 6.5 up to 7 years. So with 11 years of experience, for some schools, yes, your experience might be very, very relevant. For some schools, it might not be. It is always good to ask the schools directly. Your GMAT score is technically, fine. You have been in your own venture. That is a plus point. But always have a word with the school directly. Get the list of the schools that you want to apply to, write to them, and see what they have to tell you about the fit, and then put up your application. That is my very serious recommendation. Navshinder, could you touch upon the options for full-time MBA for someone with 20 years of work experience? The options that I know about are LBS Loan Masters and the IMA PGPX. So, Navshinder ji, at this particular years of work experience, your options are limited. No doubt, there are a lot of options that you can look for. LBS Loan Masters is one. Stanford MSX is one. You have the MIT Sloan Fellows program that you can go in for. These are all the full-time master's programs. Now, coming to the MBA programs, you have the IMA PGPX. You can also apply to a lot of MBA programs also. The full-time programs in Europe specifically. Just write to them, reach out to them with your resume and exact work experience, and let them get back to you whether they see you as a fit or not. It's not that somebody with a 20 years of experience is not a fit in the class. However, I will also suggest to you to, you can probably reach out to us, with your resume, and I can suggest some very specific programs. But why are you not considering the executive MBA programs as well? Look at the executive MBA programs. They do have a lot of value to add to your resume, as well as maybe you can, just navigate your career growth while staying in your current role as well. So a lot of questions need to be answered around your profile. Feel free to reach out to us, and I'll be happy to pick it up very specifically. Samagra says, how are executive MBAs in Europe or US? So, executive MBAs in Europe or US, Samagra, works slightly differently. So if you are pursuing an executive MBA, a lot of programs they will have, let's say there are around three formats. One format is a part-time MBA or a weekend MBA, for which you need to be stationed in that particular location so that you can reach out to that particular cohort on the scheduled timelines, let's say the weekend or the alternate weekend schedules. The second executive MBA is the global executive MBA, which is conducted purely online, like the Wharton Global MBA program, which is purely online. You can, pursue this particular program sitting anywhere around the world. Now, the third program will be a modular program. A modular program will be, will have the requirement of you traveling down to that particular location for maybe 10 days in a month and a half or 3 months. Now, based on the particular format that you are okay with, that is where the question of how are the executive MBAs in Europe or US comes across. So, if you can share your particular, very specific resume with me, I can share a list or I can suggest a few programs that you should consider, questions that you need to answer around the executive MBA. Select the right format and then select the right program for you. Where are you working? Are can you travel to that particular location at that point in time? And what is the format of the program that will be suitable for you with respect to your career goals? I can help you with a very specific list. Do reach out to us on our website or our email address, and I'll be happy to take this discussion up. And do let me know if I've answered your question. In case there's something else that I can add or maybe, assist you with, I'll be happy to do that. Chirag, is it possible to change industry and function from advertising to general management? Yes, Chirag, it is possible. In case you have advertising and media industry work experience, then you can definitely pursue a full-time program is much more suitable if you are planning to, change industry and function both. And at around 4.5 years of work experience, you can do that through a full-time MBA program, whether Indian or international, totally depends on what your personal criteria are. Kunal, I am a fresher, graduated this year. I did not perform well in the CAT exam. How shall I proceed further? So, Kunal, I'm sure that you must have prepared for the CAT exam. Build on that preparation, write the GRE or the GMAT. So, the first step that you need to do is, and we are getting a lot of queries for that as well, please go and write a mock test for GMAT and the GRE both and see which one are you scoring better at. Now, then based on that particular test, then you can go ahead and write that particular test, build on your CAT preparation. The subject matter remains the same. It is almost very close to, your CAT preparation will be very close to your GMAT preparation. GRE is slightly different, but then again the CAT preparation encompasses a lot of things. So pick on the specific areas that you need to work on after you have picked on the specific test that you want to write, and then choose the programs. You can pursue the MIM programs through the GMAT or the GRE. So you probably don't need to do it next year. You can do it this year itself. Why do you want to, forget all of the CAT preparation that you've already done and then get down to preparing for the GMAT from zero? Don't do that. Take a break and start off with the GMAT preparation. Write the GMAT and go ahead with the MIM applications. Reach out to us for any specific course selection or application assistance that you require for your MIM or your master's applications. Aditya, having 6 years of experience in the merchant navy, could you please advise whether European schools will value this background? Yes, they will definitely value this background. It would be more advantageous to explore Indian schools. You can explore both the locations. You can explore the Indian schools as well as the European B schools. The whole challenge of or applying to the Indian programs is that the seats, especially the available pool of seats that you can apply for the Indian programs is very limited. It's close to 2000 or something, in India. Whether you want to go in for that competitive an application process, or if you want to go in for a more international application process where the number of seats are definitely higher, but then the whole crux of the situation comes to that you are an international applicant and they'll take only as many Indians as, you know the whole international pool is balanced. So over there, the process is equally competitive. So it is always good to keep a mix of programs, apply to the Indian programs, apply to the European programs as well, and see how things go for you. We have had applicants who have applied to the Indian programs as well as European, and they are now headed for Cambridge or the HEC MBA. And, you know, down the process, when you are putting up your applications, you learn so much about the B schools that you really are able to make up your mind in that particular manner. So always apply to a mix of schools, write your GMAT or your GRE, and get in touch with us. We'll be happy to help you with a list of schools that you can probably apply for. Uh, Vansh, what is the defining criteria for ISB applicant that is non-negotiable? I think, again, there's no such definition which is given by ISB. But from my experience, what I think the defining criteria is that you have to be strong at all the things. You have to be strong at your acads. You have to be strong with your work experience. You have to be very clear of what you want to do post MBA. It is a 1 year MBA program. You can't go into this particular MBA program and start thinking about what do I want to do now. You need to have a plan. If you're very sure of how ISP can help you, then I'm sure you will be able to make your way through and get into ISP as well. So this, from my point of view, is the defining criteria that an ISP applicant must have. You should be clear of your priorities. You should be clear of what you bring to the class, how your work ex will add value, and of course have a good background, good acads, everything. Vishal, is an MBA from tier 2 schools such as ISAID, IE, or ST Award? See, a tier 2 school or tier 1 school is something that is decided by a lot of different factors. I don't think you should categorize any school as tier 1 or tier 2. Try and focus on what your career goals are and how will you be able to achieve them from the point of view of where you stand, where you want to go, and how does this school help me bridge that particular gap. If it is so, then the program is definitely worth it. Don't just go with the rankings, or don't just go with hearsay, don't just go with normal Google search. Try and do your own research, talk to people, talk to the people who have graduated from these programs, and then decide as to what will be a good program for you to pursue at this point in time. The again, for international applicants, the visa uncertainty, that is the next slide that I was coming to, which is the challenges for the Indian students who are pursuing MBAs in Europe. So if you're planning to pursue an MBA in Europe, every location will come up with will have its own challenge in terms of the cost, in terms of the cultural requirement that they would expect from you, and in terms of the visa, or the, let's say, the long term career plans that you might have. So weigh that according to your particular situation, and only then decide. Don't just go with rankings. Please do go and talk to some people and get the on ground realities of what the visa requirements are like, what the cultural adaptation is it that is expected from you. Let's say if you're planning to work in France, and you are planning for HEC Paris. It is very much obvious, if you are planning for a career in France, that you should be well versed with French. You are going to talk to people over there, you're going to build a network over there, then you should have that language. You should be adaptable enough to pick on that language very well and be fluent in the language. These are some very little concerns, very petty concerns, due to which some Indians are left out of the race. If you're planning a European MBA, then do look at the very specific criteria according to that particular location, be it language, be it visa, be it the culture of the place, and be sure that whether are you adaptable or not. Do you have any reservations in picking up the language? Are you in it for the game, and are you ready to do whatever it takes? If yes, then all of the locations are equally good for you. Completed your MBA in India and then changed your field and went into hospitality. Now I'm looking for a fresh start in the corporate again and will be working. So I'm looking for a refresher course, which would be another MBA in Europe. I'm not eligible for the MIM programs. So, Pomi Cooks, in case you have a GMAT or a GRE score, you can definitely go in for the MBA programs. There is nothing that should stop you. Please identify the programs according to where you're coming from. Don't just go with the rankings. Go with your personal background, your professional experience that you're coming in with, and which particular program will help you pivot in the best possible manner. Cost is one criteria. Your visa uncertainty and your cultural adaptation is another criteria, as well as your post MBA goals is, equally important. So make sure that you're choosing the programs from your personal checklist, not from a certain checklist, which is, let's say, a generic checklist, let's say, which is something like NFT ranking, or some particular rankings that you're looking at. So don't go with that. Build your own particular checklist, and you can definitely pivot towards a great career in Europe as well. Akshay, ma'am, I have around 5 to 6 years of experience in the IT industry and want to go ahead with the consulting sector post MBA. So, Akshay, for if you're looking at the MBA, MBB firms, targeting a US MBA or a European MBA does not really make a difference. Try and fix on a location from the point of view of what your long term goals are. A lot of MBA programs, actually, a majority of them, have the consulting sector as the major sector that they are catering to. So, the hiring will be majorly from the consulting sector, whether it is US or whether it is Europe. So, I don't think you should worry on that. To pick on a location, be very specific as to where do you see yourself in the long term. Look at the ROI, look at the cost of the program, build your own Excel sheet of how you are looking at repaying a particular loan that you might be picking from a what an MBA or an LBS MBA, and then select the location. Consulting will come to you at any of these locations. That should not be a problem at all. Sargam, being a graduate with no work experience, will I be able to do an MBA in Europe also with a pharmacy background? So, Sargam, a lot of MBA programs actually require prior work experience. In Europe, a majority of the programs will consider a 3 years work experience. So, please get some work experience before you start applying to programs. You will also have to write the GMAT or the GRE test. In case you want to apply at this point in time, then the master's or the MIM programs will be more suitable. If you want, you can share your resume with us. You can share your particular interest with us, and we'll be happy to help you with clear direction of how you can go towards maybe an MBA or a master's program for that matter. But for pursuing an MBA program in Europe, a lot of schools, they have a criteria of 3 years of work experience, which is a preferred work experience that they have. Bismeet Singh. I have received admits from Cambridge, Imperial, and ESAT. That's great, Bismeet. Congratulations. And the economic and job conditions seem to be quite bleak at the moment. What is your take on this, Bismeet? This is something that is a clear reality. Now, having said that, I will not say that the opportunities are not available. They might be differently available. They might be rare, they might be tough to get into. But if you're looking at the ROI, let's say in the long term, and if you're really keen on pursuing, because you have applied to 3 programs, and I'm sure that you are keen on a European location, at that point in time, try and look at it from the point of view of what can be done. There is news everywhere around, what cannot be done. Even the market in India is not good. But if you're so keen on going abroad and you're keen on building your career in Europe, then look for ways of how that is possible, and do talk to people who have graduated from these schools. There are challenges that they face. One of my applicants, he went in for a 1 year program in the US previously. I think this is the last year. And he had to put in, let's say, around maybe now close to 2,000 applications just to secure the position. But now the position that he's a program manager at Amazon, which is absolutely good, right? It is worth the investment. So look at the end goal, try and see if you are able to put in that effort, if you're ready to put in that effort, how have other people navigated it, and then take your decision. Don't just cut it off across in terms of just the noise that you hear around. See if it can work out for you specifically. Sargam, you will not have work experience, so you will probably not be able to pursue an MBA directly. You can go in for a master's or a master's in management or any other related program. Yes, Chirag, definitely look forward to hearing you out and being of help over there. Look forward to discussing these things with you. Dhaval Khatri, I have 2 years of experience as data analyst at SNP, and can I consider US MBA or should I get more experience and gain certification like CFA? So, Dhaval, at this point in time, you need to see whether you can consider a US MBA. The minimum work experience required is 2 years of experience. Having said that, you need to also see what your career trajectory is going to be like. What are your plans with respect to your specific career growth? If you have worked as a data analyst, are you planning to go towards more towards a financial analyst or a finance role? Then the CFA will definitely help you. The CFA, if you get that certification, it will definitely help you pivot towards that particular goal and build the necessary skills, which is also valued internationally. So don't look at it from the MBA is not the end goal. The career that you are planning is the end goal. So if you are looking at it from that point of view, then of course the CFA will add value. If you're just trying to put up an application and get accepted at a particular school, then maybe just spending on gaining some certifications just for the sake of building a profile is not important. What is important is that map out around 5 or 7 years of your work, the career growth that you're planning, and then go backwards as to what will help you get there. If it is the MBA, then so be it. If it is the CFA, then so be it. It will be very easy for you to write a smart application, to write a strong application, as well as justify your stand in the interviews as well as the application throughout. If you just go backwards from 5 or 7 years of your career plans, then I think everything will fit into place. And plus, you of course need the GMAT or the GRE. I hope you're done with that as well. Grim, is the job scenario also bleak at institutes like INSEAD? Given the ISP has short chances of a good job, I am considering either of the courses only for 1 year MBA. So, Agrim, you can consider any of these courses. All of these courses are great. It is your resume at the end of the day which will speak for you. If you have a strong resume, if you are coming in with the requisite skills which are required by the workforce, then you can definitely build a secure career from INSEAD as well as ISB. Again, the point is the MBA is not the end goal. The end goal is getting a certain career path or getting on to a certain career goal. So if you can go backwards, plan 5 or 7 years ahead, see what the industry is like, where are you fitted into the industry, and then how are you planning your growth forward. There are things like a GMAT score or your academics, which are important for qualifying for a certain particular school because they have a cohort composition in mind. They have a certain benchmark they have to adhere to. Apart from that, the MBA program is a route towards achieving a certain goal. So go backwards from the end goal that you have 5 or 7 years down the line, and then work on what MBA programs will be suitable for you. Agrim, you've mentioned 635 GMAT focus score. I do see that if you're looking or targeting the INSEAD MBA or the ISP MBA, you should try and enhance your GMAT score, and do share your the rest of your profile as well in terms of your grades, your work experience, which industry have you worked in. Employability is very important. It is not the school which will entirely be responsible for your employment. It is your resume, it is your employability and your skills that you are bringing into the program, which you can enhance to the MBA. But it is not entirely that 1 year which can really bring that particular transition for you. So try and give a more holistic picture of your profile. Reach out to us for a profile evaluation. We'll be happy to take this up on a one-on-one call as well. But have a very clear plan. I think you'll be able to achieve it. A higher GMAT focus edition score will definitely be important for you for these particular schools. Now, please, guys, in case you have other questions, feel free to keep on sharing with us. We have another 10 minutes to go, and I'll take up the rest of my presentation in the meantime. So we were talking about the challenges for Indian students pursuing MBAs in Europe. So as an Indian student, the initial cost burden is going to be high. The Indian programs are definitely cost effective, and the cost that you need to plan for a European MBA will definitely be higher, anywhere up to 1 CR of an investment. But in case you have the career goals of pursuing a global career in the future, then it is definitely worth it in the long term. There is a definite requirement of a cultural adaptation. You know, India works differently, Europe works differently. Within Europe, Germany works differently, France works differently. And if you're planning to build a long term career in a certain location, it is very much expected that you should be well versed with the location, with the languages of that particular location, with the dialects, with the vernacular, with the whole culture of that particular location, to be able to serve your customers the best. So this is one challenge that you will face. So be agile, be ready to take all of it on, and then also be ready to navigate the visa uncertainty. There these rules are changing day on day. I am not the best judge on that. Reach out to the people who are staying over there, reach out to the consultants who are immigration consultants, and see what the visa uncertainty is like, and are you comfortable navigating it. So these are some things which are important to you as an Indian student if you're planning to pursue an MBA in Europe. This is an ROI analysis that we did for the different scenarios that we worked out. And, at the end of the day, it does seem that an Indian MBA also has a strong ROI if you're planning to consider a long term career within India itself. So, of course, these are subject to a lot of assumptions. So, with your own case study in mind, try and build your own ROI analysis very clearly before you are going in for an MBA program. Vinay, how are the scholarship opportunities in Europe and USA for Indian students? So, Vinay, the scholarship opportunities are, dependent on a lot of things. One, is there a specific scholarship process separately for the program that you're applying for? Second, what is the background that you're coming with? Are you coming with a strong GMAT score? Your GMAT score will definitely be a good window or a gateway for a good strong scholarship for you, depending on what the average scholarship what the average GMAT at that particular school is. So let's say the average GMAT of a particular school is around 700 or 720, and you are coming with the GMAT score of around 750. Now that does give the incentive of providing you a scholarship. So what is it that you are bringing to the table will definitely define the opportunities in Europe as well as in USA for Indian students. Again, a lot of factors come into play over here. What is your previous prior academic background like? Are you coming in for the diverse from a diverse background? Do you have strong academics? Do you have a strong GMAT score or a GRE score? And are your career goals very clearly mapped out and in sync with what the school is looking for? L- Read the statements that the schools give out in terms of the candidates that they are looking out for, the kind of candidate pool that they want to build in. If you are a good fit with that, then you can definitely look at a strong scholarship from Europe as well as from the US. We have had applicants in the past who have gone into schools in the US with a 50% scholarship and also 100% scholarship, depending on the fit that you find with respect to the school requirements, and also how smartly you work towards your school choice. If you say that you have, let's say, a 720 GMAT and you're looking for a scholarship at Wharton, then there are so many other criteria that might come into play. But if scholarship is something that is important to you, then work on the school list backwards from that point of view. So I can take this more specifically on a call in case you can share your profile with me. Pushpa, ma'am, if I study in HEC Paris, but I'm only interested in working in English speaking countries like US and UK, what is the probability of getting a job in those countries? Pushpa, it totally depends on you and on your resume. So if you are studying in HEC Paris, you definitely, of course, you can take up a job anywhere in US and UK. Please look at the very specific criteria of what the schools, what the schools are offering to you in terms of the networking and the career opportunities. Also, in terms of how you will navigate that particular shift, it is easier said than done. Get into the details, talk to people who have already done that, and then take it forward from there. Akshay, you can connect to our team definitely to proceed with your application. Please reach out to us on this website goalisb.com, or you can also uh, email us at contact@goalisb.com, and we can take this process forward from there onwards. And thank you, GMAT Club, for putting this on. The slider also gives our website, so you can always reach out to us on that. Thank you so much. Right. So this break-even points is something that is important for you if you're planning for pursuing a European MBA. Also consider what is the loan amount that you are taking up, and how many years do you need to, really uh, pay that back, and then come back if you really want to, or maybe continue over there. But the payback time is going to be dependent in terms of the location, the growth in terms of salary that you're looking at. So a lot of assumptions go into that particular calculation. Coming to the risks of pursuing an MBA in Europe. Agrim, I have a management degree from IMT Ghaziabad. I'm thinking of applying with this score only. Total of 5 years of experience by March 25. So Agrim, since you already have an MBA degree and you have work experience, I'm sure with respect to the management side of things, then do put up a strong application. Go ahead with your application process. Again, there is no minimum GMAT that any of these schools look for. So 635, I think you had 635. So if you have 635 and you want to go ahead with that, sure, do go ahead. Focus on your application, and all the best for that. There's no minimum GMAT score. You can always apply to an MBA program at any GMAT score. The whole application will matter. Your complete profile will definitely matter when you're putting up your application. Right, risks of pursuing an MBA in Europe. So, quite a few things out of this we have already seen, but these are some specific points that you might need to keep in mind. One is the visa uncertainty. We already spoke about that. Then about limited scholarship. There might be some sponsorship. So there might be some instances where the where you as an international applicant will need a sponsorship from for your work visa. So because of the costs and the bureaucracy in that particular area, will you be able to get that or not is something that you need to answer before you head on to an MBA in Europe. Second is the salary restrictions. Are there any salary restrictions with respect to the area of work that you are coming in from? Try and look into that very specifically. Try and look into the language barriers, as we have discussed. Germany and France, they will definitely have a preference for you to know the local languages, and the economic volatility. So political shifts and so many other things keep on happening all the time in the geopolitical arena, which might also impact your chances or long term chances in that particular area or location. So make sure that you have that criteria also put into place. Talk to people who are staying over there, talk to the experts in the visas field, and then go ahead with the application. Just don't look at the MBA program itself, look at the rest of the viability for pursuing a long term career in that particular location, at least for the next 5 6 years. Gaurav, is there a higher age limit or work experience put forth as a constraint in any be school in the UK or EU? Not exactly, Gaurav. There is no constraint as such which is mentioned by them. Having said that, it is always important for you to be able to, decide as to whether you are a fit for that particular class or not. So try and look at the class profile very clearly. Try and also, pay attention to the school mottos, the value statements that they give, and see if you are a fit. It is not only about the age limit, it is also about the area that you have worked in, what field you are coming in from. Are you a military veteran? Are you a public sector employee? Are you working in, let's say, an IT sector? or within the IT sector, maybe in the AI field. If you're working in something which is very much in there and very much in demand, then definitely the age or the work experience will probably not be a limitation. So it is, all of these things come together, so it is your complete resume which will really impact that decision making. It is always good and best to reach out to your target schools very specifically with your resume and see what they have to say about it. If you have work experience which is higher than 8 years, please do, first firm up on your resume, revise your resume. Don't just put in your work resume, make an MBA resume, and then put it across to the schools for a complete evaluation. Have a detailed discussion with them, decide on the fit specifically, and then I think it should be workable. 8 years of work experience and 29 years of age should not be such a big problem. It's not a higher age limit. If you look at the average average age at most of the European MBA programs is around 27, 28, 29 years. So that's almost around it. And the average work experience is around 6 years, so 8 years is not too high to be afraid of. Still, if you have any concerns, please do reach out to them specifically, and they'll give you a very candid feedback on that. How much global exposure can I get from an Indian MBA in the long term? You can definitely get the global exposure from the Indian MBA in the long term. Pursue the MBA, start your career, and look for opportunities internationally. And if you get an opportunity internationally, then that is your goal achieved, right? But whether it is possible immediately post the MBA program in India, maybe not, or maybe the options are limited. But a few years down the line, you can definitely navigate it. I graduated from ISB in 2006, and today, if we see, there's such a lot of alumni base that ISB has internationally. So I don't see any dearth in terms of the global exposure that you can aspire for. You will have to work towards it, but it is definitely achievable. So, guys, in case you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us on our website. You can get in touch with us at goalisb.com, and I'll be happy to take on one on one profile evaluations. All the best for your career goals. In case you do have any questions, you can share it over here. We have around 2 minutes more of discussion time. In case there's anything that I can address, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. And most of our joinees were from India, and I hope you had dinner and then joined us. So, good night and all the best for your career accomplishments as well as achieving your career goals. Are entrepreneurship opportunities good in European MBA colleges for Indian students? Agrim, it is definitely good. I had some discussion on that previously. So, if you look at the European MBA colleges, they will give you the access to a global cohort. You will have access to a global network. That is definitely going to be a huge plus for you if you are going to be an entrepreneur in the long term. So, no doubt about it. Karthik, you graduated you with no job in hand, as I was targeting CAT but was not able to perform well in the exam. Now I want to do GMAT. Whether I shall target the Indian B schools or do a job. So please do both of these things. Get yourself a job and always, simultaneously prepare for your GMAT. With the GMAT, if you're targeting the Indian schools, your options will be very limited. So it is important for you to keep on working, try and keep on building on that work experience, and then simultaneously get the score on the GMAT that you aspire to. Then target the programs. If you are applying through the GMAT, most of the MBA programs will require a work experience of a minimum of 2 to 3 years, depending on the location. So now it is high time that you should get yourself a job, keep on working on the GMAT or the GRE, and build a strong work experience, build your career goals, try and work on exactly what you are going to specialize in the long term, and take it from forward from there. In case you need a specific discussion, feel free to reach out to us on our website, drop in a message, and we'll contact you for a call. Right. Does college provide campus placements as in India? The European or the international placements do not work the way it works in India. If you're looking at the European or maybe the international or the US MBA programs, please make sure that you are looking at the career assistance that you're getting from there very specifically, because as an international applicant, a lot of things are important. How are you, well versed with the environment over there? What are you planning to apply for? Who's sponsoring your visa? Is the employer ready to take you up for that particular position? What are the restrictions that they have to go through? And again, what are the positions that you are eyeing for? All of this will be important. Your summer internship will again be important for you to be able to pivot at a global location. So look at all of these things very closely with respect to the specific school that you are targeting or the location that you're targeting. What is the current average GMAT score to get an admission at a fair university at Europe? So, if you look at the average GMAT scores, for the European B schools or the Indian B schools, I'm talking about the 1 year MBA programs in India, then the average GMAT is somewhere, within the same range, around 680 to 700 is the average. But if you are an international applicant and you are applying to an international school, let's say a European B school, then try and target a school score at least 20 points higher than the school average, because that is the it's going to be competitive. So to stand out, it is important that you are able to go up the average. So don't look at the average GMAT score. Try and target a higher than average GMAT score. Right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys, for joining in today. And I hope I've been able to address your questions. In case there's something specific that we can address, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to take it up over a call. Good night, and see you soon for another presentation.